Well, hey guys, glad you could join me today. And I want to go ahead and break open the Bible and take a look in the Old Testament and grab a piece of it and let it show us who God is and therefore who we should aim to be, right? Because we're all aiming for godliness, right? We all want to be like our big brother Jesus. So that's the goal. We're going to take a look in the book of Deuteronomy today, okay? Deuteronomy chapter 24. And I'm going to be looking here in verse 19. Here we go. It says, when you're harvesting your crops and you forget to bring in a bundle of grain from your field, don't go back and get it. Leave it for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. Then the Lord your God will bless you in all you do. When you beat the olives from your olive trees, don't go over the boughs twice. Leave the remaining olives for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. When you gather the grapes in your vineyard, don't glean the vines after they are picked. Leave the remaining grapes for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. Remember that you were slaves in the land of Egypt, and that is why I'm giving you this command. All right, so we got basically God giving us three different examples of crops that could be harvested. And normally, when God tells us to do work, He's telling us to do things well, to be thorough, to be industrious, things like that. But right here, He's saying, if you miss some of the harvest, that's a good thing. Okay, just leave it there. And basically, He's saying that so that when strangers or poor people come looking for food, they're going to find something. He's basically asking those who are a little better off to be generous enough to people who need it. And it's not a huge deal for people who have enough to be generous. And it's so much in God's character. I mean, the Bible tells us that God owns cattle that cover 1,000 hills. That's a lot of cattle. And that's just an illustration showing us that really, you come out right down to it, every bit of wealth in the whole wide world is His to do with as He wants. Right now, He's giving it to some people who are billionaires. And those of us in America, we're statistically speaking, we are wealthier than almost anyone else in the world. As far as the nation goes, yeah. And also as individuals, our standard of living is so high that other nations are just blown away by it. Well, not all of them, but some. Point is that there's people out there who need help, who can't afford to put food on the table. And He's talking about foreigners, people who are traveling, people who are coming from afar off, and they don't have a support system here where they are. He's talking about widows, women who had lost their husband and therefore the source of income for their family. They're poor. They're hurting. They're trying to raise a family without the dad and just trying to get by. And then, of course, orphans, people who don't have parents. I mean, it's basically just giving us this idea. People who don't have what they need, who are going to have a hard time of it. Those of us who can be generous, be generous. If our being sloppy and gathering crops is going to help people put some food on the table, then awesome. Let's be grateful for that opportunity for them. Glad that our work, our labor could help another person out. And that's what I really want to encourage, is that I want you to look at your work and your labor as something that you can use to bless other people. You can do that by meeting needs of people. You can do that by buying people a meal. You can do that all kinds of different ways. Use your imagination. There's 100,000 different ways, I'm sure. But just be generous, because our God has been generous with us. That's what I want to encourage you with. All right, guys. I love you, and I'll see you next time.